Hello and welcome to my video review for the Monstrum Tactical Cyborg 1X Prismatic Red Dot. That's what it looks like on my ACR. I actually like how forward slanted lines of the optic kinda match up to ACR's own angular lines. And beyond the appearance aspects, scope actually works pretty well to add a little more balance to the rifle. ACR is pretty front heavy, and 11 ounces of scope placed towards the rear of the action hopefully should move center of gravity further back and make rifle a bit better balanced overall. ACR is a pretty heavy rifle to begin with, especially compared to lightweight AR-15 carbine that can go as low as 5 pounds. ACR, on the other hand, at its lowest, registers at 8 pounds. One might say adding almost 3/4 pound optic to an ACR certainly not gonna do the rifle any favors. But for me personally, ACR is not a go-to gun. More of a range toy slash safe queen that rarely goes out in public. I don't foresee me hauling it on my back through the woods or taking it to the battlefield. And for the purpose of very occasional trip to the range, 11 extra ounces of scope certainly not going to make that much difference. My face and eye end up approximately right here, and that's just about perfect for eye relief. Eye relief on this optic according to specs is 6 to 6.5 inches, and here is 6 inches. So that kind of works out pretty good. Looking through the scope, I can see that black ring is minimal when I move my head around. So that 6-inch eye relief works out perfectly. No issues there. The issue I did have is with the backup sight. Although you can mount the Cyborg that it does not interfere with backup sights. However, you just can't, or at least I can't, see the front post through the optic. I'll try to demonstrate it. I don't know if my phone camera can get low enough to line up the aperture and the front post, but yeah, it can't. Despite this technically at the correct height that should be capable of lower third witness, and while you are able to see the front sight through the scope, I definitely can't line up on this narrow line of a fine front post. Granted, you can see the ears of the front sight and you can aim through the optic by lining up between the ears, using them as reference in up close short distance scenarios, but you can't forget about precision shots with irons through the optic. I suspect it has to do with the fact that scope front objective is only 20 millimeters in diameter, and although rear ocular is fairly large, however front post falls just on the very edge of the front objective lens. It basically just disappears behind the outer edge dark blob of the scope body. Can't really capture it with my camera in this position, so that's one downside. Here I reset my camera position and now it's in the right place where camera can get low enough to where your eye would be, but I still can't line up rear. I see front sight through the scope very well, but if you try to go down to line up behind the peep, you just really can't see the front post. And let me try to switch to a large aperture. And here's me fumbling with MacBook backup sights, trying to fold small aperture down to expose the big one. You can just about see it, but as soon as you try lining up, post dives below the dark blob of the scope body. So yeah, forget about using your irons sights with any kind of precision. And here I'm still trying my hardest to line up so you guys can see how it's impossible to line up front post with the aperture so the post is actually in the center, and now I gave up. And the small look of the front sight through the scope, you can see two ears very well, very nice and clear, so I guess you can still use those to aim. And here's brief view what DX1 square reticle looks when not illuminated. And since I'm already here, let me show you the reticle. Here is the green. I chose to buy a square one, not sure why. It looks blurry on camera, but it's only because phone camera doesn't focus on the reticle itself, but rather on the side adjustment cap for some reason. In person, it's really nice and crisp, And here, if you hold plus button for 3 seconds, it switches to red. Here's red. So in conclusion, if you're willing to accept trade-offs of the heavier optic and marginal co-witness for an edge reticle and illumination than for the price, I think this is not a bad deal. With Monstrum lifetime warranty, you could be fairly certain you won't be left out in the cold compared to those other Amazon-based budget Chinese retailers with weird names. They can be here today and maybe next 8 months and then disappear without a trace a year after. I bought this edged reticle optic mainly as a solution to my aging eyes and astigmatism. Time will tell if this was a good call or bad one. In the meantime, thank you all for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this sort of content. This will encourage me to spend time doing more. Have a good one.